So how is it now?
Ma'am, I'm beginning to see people coming through. So it means at least, okay, let's give it a few seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, because the fact that we couldn't see them at first was very rather much worrying, but now I see them on the screen.
Okay, so I think maybe if we just start in 2 minutes, we'll have quite a few.
All right.
Okay, let's just give them a chance to get in.
Right, it's okay. Jimmy, can you hear me?
Okay, mine is only starting now.
All right. Must we use the link that you gave me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll send the link for those who can't come in.
Okay, no
All
problem.
right. All right, thank you. Learners, please give us thumbs up if you can hear us. We just want to know if you can hear us. That's the problem. All right. Lisedi. Lisedi, is that you saying you can hear us? Your mic is on. Please speak to us. Lisedi. All right. All right. Seeing your hands means you can pick up the sound. Is that so? All right. Guys, let's give a few minutes to, because we did pick up the problem, so we are trying to, as best as we can, sort it out. So we are busy admitting people into the meeting. Just give us 2 minutes and then we'll start shortly. Master Chef, do you have a question?
Yeah. So what are we going to be covering today? That's my question. What are we going to be covering today?
We are going to be looking at paper 1, which you are writing tomorrow, the English home language paper 1, that is comprehension, summary, advertisement, cartoon, and the language.
Could we like focus on the like level 4 questions? Like I think that's what really gets us, and also the language section, question 5. That's like really the hardest section. So yeah, I feel like that should be our focus. The level 4 questions, like those 3 mark questions, are the tricky ones. So yeah.
Okay, I hear you. The only problem with the last question, question 5, is that there are so many aspects when it comes to grammar, and to teach everything will be a bit of a challenge when it comes to time, but we'll try and cover as many as we can, especially focusing on the ones that are always assessed. Your hand is still up, Master Chef. Is it an old hand?
All right. I think we can start. Now, please note, I have sent the YouTube link on the text box. Please forward to all of those who are finding it difficult to join. We are admitting everyone on our side, but it seems as if they are not coming through. So please forward the link to as many people as you can or to your groups so that we can begin. So we have Mr. Kosam assisting with the streaming online on YouTube. So we are already live on that platform. So please ensure that you share the news with as many of your friends as you can. Can you please put your hands down, because your hands are a bit disturbing, because I am not quite sure why are they up. Do you have questions? Let me give you platform to say something. Madeline, your mic is on. All right, it seems maybe. Madeline, Sweet Hero. Okay. Right, let's begin, guys. We had already started, so we are just going to start again, although we had gone as far as, so I might as well start from the beginning. Please indicate with thumbs up if you can see the text on screen. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Again, keep sending and sharing the YouTube link to as many people as you can. I'm just going to try and stream from my other phone to see if indeed we are covered in terms of the streaming, so that we can start knowing that everyone is on board. If people can't see, they can always go back. All right. All right. Kosam, thank you so much. Right. I just needed to double check if we are live on YouTube. So please let people know that there is another avenue through which they would be able to join us. Please ensure to sign the register. Let me share the link to the register. You can also forward the register to your other friends. It's going to be right on your chat box there. Right. So I've sent the link to the register. Right, let me just check the last round of people that needs to be admitted. All right, we might as well allow the others to join us via the live stream. Now, I just want us to start by looking at the instructions and information page. A number of learners tend to ignore this important page. Now, I want us to ensure that we eliminate a lot of waste of time tomorrow by going through this particular page line on line, so that you have a full understanding of what is required of you. Now, the paper consists of 3 sections. That is section A, section B, and section C. Now, if you look at the mark allocation per section, you begin to pick up the 30 for section A, the 30 for section B, and 10 for section, 10 for section B and 30 for section C. Now remember, your section C has 3 subdivisions. It's question 3, question 4, and question 5. So you've got 3 questions that are 10 marks each. So ensure that you write and answer all of these questions in order to ensure that you pass this particular paper. Number 2, read all the instructions carefully. Learners, please don't assume that you understand this paper. There's absolutely no understanding if you have not read anything that is right before you. Ensure to read every single detail that is before you. Don't just assume that you understand. Read all instructions. And by so doing, you are ensuring that all questions are answered to the specific requirements that the examiner has put out there for you. So make sure that you read the instructions. Number 3, you answer all the questions. You are not selective, like in paper 2, where in section A you are choosing 3 poems, in section B you're choosing 1 question, section C 1 question. You are choosing all of them. Number 4, start each section on a new page. Once you begin with section A, mark it as such, and it must be on a new page. When you move to section B, mark it as such on a new page. When you go to section C, mark it as such on a different page as well. And after each section, you rule off. When you are done with section A, rule it off. Done with section B, rule it off. Done with section C, rule it off. And this enables the markers to pick up where you have finished answering a particular section. So make the marking process quite simple and quite easy to go through for the marking staff. Number the answers correctly according to the numbering system used in this question paper. Now, please note, the numbering system would start maybe with question 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Please ensure that your numbering is exactly as it appears on your question paper. Where there is no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a number, A, B, C, and D as a number, avoid to number in your own way. That is going to cost you a great deal. Number 7, leave a line after each answer. 1.1, you write your answer, skip a line. 1.2, answer, skip a line, all the way to the last question. That is also supposed to be applied throughout your paper, even in question 3, question 4, as well as question number 5. Now let's go to the next instruction. Pay careful attention to spelling, sentence, and sentence construction. Remember, this is a language paper, and therefore you need to ensure that your spelling is as correct as possible. Don't just assume that the words are correct, but ensure that they are correct and the sentence construction is correct as well. Suggested time allocation, 50 minutes for section A, 30 minutes for B, and 40 minutes for section C. Again, It is completely up to you as to which section you wish to begin with. I always advise learners to begin with section C, starting with 5, moving to 3, and finally to question number 4. So, make sure you write neatly and legibly. Right, let's move on. So we had already looked at the few things that you need to look at or be very careful of when you begin attempting a comprehension passage. Can I just go through the no-nos of a comprehension? It's a no for you to go straight to the questions and answer them without first thoroughly reading this passage. Comprehension passage can never be cut through. Make sure you read it thoroughly, understand it, and then attempt to answer the questions. This is why we term this reading, meaning, and understanding. So ensure that you read it thoroughly. But now your way into the discussion is understanding the title. Now, looking at the title is The Era of Instant Gratification. So we are looking at the time in history or of fast-paced living and of satisfaction. So the modern world has devalued genuineness in social setting. That is our subheading. Now, with each paragraph, seek first to find the argument. What is the argument? So in the first paragraph, the argument of the writer is that the youngest of our generations today have grown up in a world where too many things are easy. And now look at the colon that the writer is using to now indicate that the list of these many things that are considered to be easy is to be given. These are fast food, fast cars, fast technology, you name it. So there is an emphasis by way of repetition, fast, 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 that this generation is completely reliant on things that are done as fast as possible. So now, people of this generation are still dependent on their parents. But after they achieve maturity, there is a temptation for continued dependency on technology, especially socially. What we have said before many of you could come into the meeting is that looking back to last year when AI became an in thing, a number of you stopped being creative because you started to fully depend on AI generated essays. Even though that is not a bad thing, it is now removing from us the ability to get joy from being the ones creating or producing something. I mean, once I write something and somebody reads it and they find pleasure in reading it, it satisfies me because it is my work. It's my brain that has produced this particular thing. So the dependency on technology has become a very much continued practice within the current generation. Now, when we were young, already that gives us a sense that there is a comparative between a much older generation and a much younger generation, because the writer says when we were young, we depended on our parents for different things, such as interactions with adults or writing a thank you card to a relative. From these experiences, we grew and eventually we became skilled enough to do this independently and even to teach one another. Now, the current generation we get from the last line is the fact that they can't learn something because they are fully dependent on technology. Their satisfaction or gratification is based on instantaneity. Everything must be instant. You just go to AI. AI, write me an essay about the dangers of vaping. And immediately it's going to give you a number of options to choose from, where you decide, okay, this one sounds a bit impersonal. How about I choose this one because it has an emotional touch to it? But you have not engaged in everything that allows you to get a skill to do something independently and also to teach other people to have the particular skill. Now, since we are not going through everything, I just want us to look at a number of aspects that you need to be very careful of. Paragraph 2, now in social settings, there is the option to depend on technology. This could be looking up an email template to express thanks for a job offer, or it could be interacting with recruiters over social networking sites. This option has caused an overall dip in social adeptness. Now look at the footnote number here. Number 1. Once you see a footnote number, it indicates to you that an explanation in the glossary of terms is given for you. So adeptness is a skill. So that's the first thing the glossary gives us as an explanation of what social adeptness speaks into. It speaks into the fact that there is a particular skill. The mentality of quick and easy options has become so ingrained. That's our number 2. Footnote 2. In the younger generations, that the value of genuine socialness. Now, look at this word. It is in quotation marks. Now, already, once you see a word in inverted commas or quotation marks, you need to ask yourself, what effect is the writer trying to get from the reader? The genuine socialness. So there is a possibility that he is being a bit sarcastic here. And we see this by their use of inverted commas in this particular context. Sarcastic about the genuineness of socialness being whittled away. Now, many people today confuse the terms. Look at time. It's also in inverted commas. Effort. Okay, let me get my highlighters here. Time and effort. I have heard many a time that people look at this, do not have time to do something. Again, you are asking yourself, is the word in inverted commas a direct speech or not? In this case, we could argue that it is a direct speech because he might be quoting some line that is famous. It's a famous line that people do not have time to do something. when they actually do not want to make the extra effort, like writing a professional email to a professor instead of an informal one-line demand. I have heard many a time, let's look at this, I only have a second to do this, or I need to do other things. I don't have to spare for this. Again, the use of inverted commas here as a strategic stylistic feature of the particular writer. So again, this is direct speech or words that are quoted, spoken by other people. Now, this is a symptom of the quick and easy mentality, because by allocating limited time to this task, you are removing all value and importance from it. Right. Now, this era, which has been titled the era of instant gratification. Again, so it is entitled, it is called. So it is something that this era is known for. It is known as an instant gratification era. It has caused different parasites. Now let's look at the word choice here. What is a parasite? It's something that feeds off other things. Parasite, we can look at this as our first example of diction to develop in our social world, such as a shallow friendship. That's another example of diction. Phone on the table syndrome. That's another example. Phone on the table syndrome. Now, when you look at the word syndrome, it connotes a particular kind of sickness and technological dependency. However, the most significant deficit, look at the word used here, deficit, is the lack of social genuineness. Now, these are practices that we need to put into place as we read, because we are going to come across a question that requires us to refer to diction. What should be explained about our current society are the reasons why this society has produced these results. Having grown up in a core of this era, now look at the word choice again, the core of this era, it is very difficult to step outside of the issue and view its development. So this is the argument here, that being born in this era makes it very much difficult to step outside the issue and view how it develops. Why have we lost all connection to the standards, the values, mannerism of the age before us? Aha. Another example of a style issue, a rhetorical question. So at this point, the writer wants us to pause and think and engage more deeply and be very much aware that there is a loss of connectivity. Connection to what? We have disconnected from standards, disconnected from values and mannerisms of the age before us. So those who are older than us look at us and they wonder what had gone wrong with this generation, because there are a number of losses and disconnections from what was considered by the then or the age before us to be normal. So what was normal then is considered abnormal now. So then, this is a question that we can answer individually and as a society. Is it because the age of technology has caused us to become pretentious and to discredit the opinion of less technologically savvy ancestors? Again, rhetorical question. Once you see rhetorical questions, there has to be a question that will need you to look at why is it used at this particular juncture? Is it because we have humanized material things? So looking at this paragraph has more than one rhetorical question. It's replete rather of rhetorical questions. The next rhetorical question, is it simply because we seek to continue the human race's progress on its road to greater efficiency? Again, so we can safely say in this paragraph lies a series of rhetorical questions. It's not just one. So there are a number of issues the writer is bringing to our attention, and these issues require a lot of engagement as well as the ability to be aware of. So these questions are key points to reflect upon in our individual lives. The era is nothing more complex than a trial of human nature. That's another argument. Now, as you read, make sure to pick up the arguments and sub-arguments. We are being tested on how we will choose to live when offered an easy road. Look at this. Offered an easy road at almost every point in life. I have interacted with my peers who have no ability whatsoever to understand why they would do something unnecessary. It's in inverted commas. If we live our lives only doing the things that are necessary, are we truly living? Rhetorical question. That is just following formula. And I love this word choice. There is a formula that we are dealing with. And the fact that the writer says there is just a following of a formula, for those who do subjects that require formula, they would always understand that in order for us to get a certain outcome, there are particular steps to follow. Now, a formula then suggests that there is just a following of a formula. However, these unnecessary things fuel our passion. And I love this word choice here. Fuel our passion. It's as if you're putting some gasoline on passion, and not just passion, commitment, creativity, and innovation. We are looking at examples of diction here. These virtues have been lost. So the writer called this virtues. But there is a sad tone to this thing, to the loss of these virtues. They've been lost in many of the people today. It can be said that it is completely unnecessary to go out of your way to walk someone to class. But that makes it, oh, but does that make it useless? To you, it has no direct concrete use. But to the recipient, the gesture is immensely powerful. You may not feel the power of the gesture, but the one receiving the gesture is able. The necessary things show true genuineness in your human connections. I love this part because it brings us to the attention that in our human connection, there is genuineness of the gestures that we have now deemed to be unnecessary, like walking someone to class. I mean, I remember back in our high school days, we would offer some girls at school to take them, to walk them to class. I mean, it would be very much exciting to say, can I walk you to the next class? I mean, that was very much exciting. But no one would look at that now as something that is a great gesture. So, simple nuances. Now, look at the word here, nuances, such as eye contact, active listening, kind mannerism are becoming scarcer as our era of instant gratification tears through. Now, look at this. The era of our instant gratification tears through our core. But I also love the use of a pronoun our. Can you hear me? Hello? All right. I don't know why I cannot hear myself from the other. Okay, no, you can. Right. The use of the pronoun our here gives us an indication that at this point, the writer is looking at all of us. The writer himself, together with you as the reader. It takes a great amount of maturity and awareness to accept this fact, and even greater level of strength to take the steps towards restoring value to the facets of life that made us human while using technology in moderation. I love the issue that the author is bringing, that we need to balance. There must be a balance in the technological use as well as that of being human. I mean, we need that part because we are human beings, and we, as one of the poets wrote years ago, man is not an island. You are not an island. You need to be able to connect to other people or connect with other people. Now, the last paragraph is very much key because it is at this point that the writer is summing up their argument. So in their summary, you should be able to pick up whether or not the last paragraph is a suitable ending or not. Now, we should not feel ashamed about a single thing mentioned in this article. These social issues are not something we should be faulted for. I mean, this is a very encouraging word. Yet, we should take responsibility for them. Now, that's a little bit of an advice here. It is simple information that we can choose to do what we want, or to do with it rather what we want. The youngest generations of this era have been dealt a poor hand. This is a very sad thing that's coming through. Growing up in the technological age has conditioned them to do many of these things. These are not conscious choices. And I love the fact that in the last part, the writer vindicates the digital natives. So we call you digital natives because you grew up or you were born into an era that is of a digital approach. And then some of us are digital immigrants or digital migrants. So in our classroom today, if there are colleagues joining us, we have digital natives, and they know so much more than we do in terms of the digital spaces. So we need to understand that these things were not of their conscious choices. Therefore, it is our responsibility to resist the influences of this era of instant gratification. Look at the word choice here. Our responsibility. So again, there's a use of a pronoun our there. So we are being looked at as a whole. It's not a one-man show. All of us have a responsibility, whether you're a digital migrant, digital immigrant, or a digital native. So now, to resist an influence or influences of this era of instant gratification and discover the true independence, look at the use of discover here. Discover what? True independence as human beings. And this is how we can recreate value. All in all, what the writer is saying, there's an amount of value that we have disconnected from. But once we understand and discover true independence, we can revive and recreate value. Now, the word ingrained means deeply embedded or innate. If something is innate, it means you were born with it. It's within your proclivity to be able to do that. If something is embedded, it is within you. It's right, a part of you. Pretentious, that is trying to give the appearance of great importance. Right. Although I'm not going to go through all the questions. Now, that was text A. Now, looking at text B, don't ignore text B because it is a part or an integral part of the whole question. Now, frame one, instant mashed potatoes, minutes or minute rice, microwavable meals, digital cameras, faxes, emails, online news resources, with society's desire to fulfill instant gratification. Who has the time for patience? Can't you go any faster? So the cab driver is citing all of these instant things, but it seems as if for the passenger, he is extremely slow. Hence, there's a question of him being able or being unable to go any faster. So again, we see the connectivity to the idea of a generation that is able to be patient versus the one that is impatient. Right. There are a type of questions that you need to expect. Now look at 1.1. It is a vocabulary question because we need a definition of the word gratification. Again, underline your instructional verbs and highlight the keywords. Now you're looking at a definition or a denotation. Denotation. So denotation refers to a dictionary meaning. What does the word gratification mean? We are not necessarily asking you to give us the exact words verbatim from the dictionary, but you need to know what the word gratification means in the title. Now, ladies and gents, Please take note of the word count. I mean the mark allocation. This is 1 mark. Will not answer this question in half a page. Like it's very crazy the type of answers we come across. 1 mark, the answer is just 1.5 page. I mean, that is very much insane. You are out of your comprehending mind. Make sure that you look at the mark allocation. It is going to give you a guidance on how much writing is required for this particular question. Number 2, again, it's 1.1, 1.2. Refer to the opening sentence of paragraph 1. Now go there. Don't be afraid to go to where you are being referred. The youngest of our generations today have grown up in the world where too many things are easy. Fast food, fast cars, fast technology, you name it. Now let's go back to the question. What does the question require? What is the writer's opinion about the youngest or younger generation? Now, avoid beginning your answers with because the right. I mean, what are you joining? The writer's opinion about the younger generation is that they are fully dependent on things that are quick and easy. That's your 1 mark answer. Done. Right. So here we are looking at the writer's opinion. Remember, there's a difference between opinion and fact. 1.3, explain the difference between 2 generations as expressed in paragraph 1. So this type of a question is a comparative. So you need to look at both generations. So the best way of beginning this answer is to say, while the old generation is exposed to A, B, and C, it is quite different to the younger generation in that the younger generation is exposed to A, B, and C. So we need to see in your answer the difference. What is the difference? Show it to us. We need to be able to pick up in your response that you are able to pick up whether something is different from the other. 1.4, explain is your instructional verb. What are you explaining? What is meant by the value of genuine socialness has whittled away. And look at this. This socialness is in double inverted commas. And again, boys and girls, please note, this is a quotation, yes. We are quoting it from the line. But this tells us that this is quoted from somewhere, or it is someone's words, or it means something. Genuine socialness. So in your answer, you need to look at what whittled away means and what socialness that is in inverted commas would mean. Where? In the context of the paragraph. Once the question adds in the context, you are required to consider what it says in the context of the particular paragraph. Now, 1.6. Now look at this. You will start by writing 1.6 and then 1.6.1, 1.6.2. Now this one is a multiple choice. Choose the appropriate response from the list of options provided. Now, this one makes it very much simple for you. They give you 4 options from which to choose in terms of the writer's attitude. Now, look at this. The writer's attitude. The attitude is how the writer feels, the feelings of the writer in paragraph 4. They could be described as insincere, critical, sarcastic, or understanding. You only choose. Don't write the word insincere, critical, sarcastic, understanding. If the answer is A, write A. If the answer is B, you would have written 1.1.6. You give us A as an answer. If A is not an answer, you will write B or C or D. Now 1.6.2, I need to hurry now. Comment on. Now we need a comment on how the diction in paragraph 4 conveys the writer's feelings. Now let's go to paragraph 4. Now diction that speaks about feelings. The era, which has been titled Era of Instant Gratification, has caused is accusatory to develop in our social world such a shallow friendship, phone on the table syndrome, and, we forgot to add this one, technological dependence. However, the most significant deficit is the lack of social genuineness. What should be explained about our current society are the reasons why society has produced these results. Now, all of these that I have highlighted are your examples of diction. So the question wants you to then tell us how the writer feels this point about the discussion. So what do we need? One example of diction. You have many diction examples there. So you tell us the writer feels this way because, and this is seen by their use of this particular word. And that word must be in inverted commas to show the marker that this is my diction example. So if you don't give us a word or words, then it is not going to be given a mark for diction, because instruction said include one example. Even if the instruction may not ask you to include an example of diction, but if it says with reference to diction, comment on, we still require examples of diction from your answer. All right, let's hurry up. 1.7, writer's intention. So explain, what is the writer's intention? What are they trying to achieve? Why are they writing? Or why are they using a series of rhetorical questions? Remember, we spoke of a series of rhetorical questions, and I did say to you or indicate that once you see rhetorical questions, you need to expect questions around it. Why is there a series? So you start by saying, the writer intends on achieving this by using a series of these questions. So what is their intention? What are they trying to achieve by repeating these rhetorical questions? Again, 1.8, discuss the paradox. Now, boys and girls, if you do not know what a paradox is, then you are going to be found wanting. A paradox is any occurrence that at first seems to be very contradictory. But when you give it time, you are able to pick up the truth from that which appeared or seemed to be contradictory. So in this case, we do not want you to tell us what a paradox is. You look at the argument presented in paragraph 6. What is the argument? And how is this argument paradoxical? It is paradoxical because while the author says this, which rather seems a bit contradictory, it is also showing the truth when they say A, B, and C. So you need to ensure that the paradox question is looked at very much closely without giving us what a paradox is. We already know what it means. 1.9. To what extent does the concluding paragraph support the subheading? Now again, what is the subheading? Now we look at the subheading as instructed. The modern world has devalued genuineness in social settings. And look at the word devalued. You have a prefix D, which means there is a removal of what? Of values to genuineness, to being true in social settings. I mean, we're no longer genuine in social settings. I mean, sometimes you can just type wow or lol, and yet you're a serious face. There's no genuineness in that because there is a devaluing of being genuine. And this has come because of the instant gratification type of a society that we have become over years. Right. When you answer text B, I always prefer that you write text B. You have written text A and you wrote your answers 1.1 all the way to 1.9. Then you skip a line, you write text B 1.10. How does the list given by the cab driver in frames 1 and 2 relate to instant gratification? Always refer frames 1 to 2. Instant mashed potatoes, minute rice, microwavable meals, digital cameras, faxes, email, online news resources. The common denominator here is that of a fast pace. So why is this list relating to instant gratification? Again, we are looking at satisfaction which comes through things that are done quick, fast, and in a hurry. Right. 1.11. In the context of the cartoon, suggest why the driver's facial expression remains unchanged. I mean, you look at what is the context in which everything is said, and then why is the driver's facial expression remaining unchanged? Why is he having a constant facial expression from start to finish? So you start by telling us, what is the facial expression of the driver? And what does it mean? And why it doesn't change? 1.12, with close reference to frame 4, comment on the satirical message. Now, satirical, satire. Now, this is part of humor. Now, we are not asking you of humor here, but I need you to keep this in your mind for your question number 4. Comment on the satirical message conveyed in the cartoon. You need to know what satire means. There is a genuine look at a serious issue, but using a quite humorous approach to addressing it. So this is what you're commenting on, his satirical message that is conveyed in the cartoon. So you need to make sure that you grade the 3 marks. Finally, Refer both or to both text A and B. Critically discuss. You're going to give a critical discussion. Please don't forget to use your penal method as you respond. What is your point? That's your discussion. And then what is the evidence? Explain this evidence and you link it back to the main point. Critically discuss the extent to which text B illustrates the writer's view in paragraph 7 of text A. So what you're going to do, you have been referred to paragraph 7 of text A. So you are comparing. So this is a comparative question. Please note, it could be 3 marks, it could be 4 marks. Expect anything tomorrow. So you need, what do we need here? We actually need you to sum up the points. What are you looking for? What is similar between the two texts? Are there any differences between the texts? And you need to be able to pick these up in your response. While text B illustrates A, B, and C, in the same way in paragraph 7, it is indicated that in that. So we need you to use words such as similarly, or different to, or by contrast to. Because once you start seeing the evidence of contrast or differences, we need to be able to pick up if there are any differences in what you are picking up. Right. Let's go to section B. I'm just going to have a drive-by shooting here. Remember, you must know what it is that you're summarizing, why contentment is preferable. Remember to always highlight your points. Now, if you did take time to listen to yesterday's voice note, which I sent to your groups, I went through what other things to look for. So I'm not going to go through that. If you didn't get the voice note, we will make sure that you get it again and listen to it. Now, summarize in your own words. Now, please, make sure that you use your own words. And I'm going to show you now how you can use your own words to at least get 10 out of 10. Your summary should include 7 points. Now, I said this to my grade 10s today. This is not point form. Because there's always that issue. During the exam, we must be called into the exam to explain to you all of a sudden, we've been exposing you to summary writing from grade 8. We're doing it in point form, of course. You went to grade 9. We then shifted you from point form because we have taught you how to identify the 7 points in grade 8. Now in grade 9, we taught you how to put these 7 points into your own words in a fluent paragraph, and then from grade 10 all the way to 12, we wanted you to write a fluent paragraph. Now we no longer take stories because we have been exposing you to a number of practices. So these 7 points must be put together as a fluent paragraph. Number 3, they're not required to include a title, but number 4, you are required to indicate your word count. Ladies and gents, we do count your words. We number them. We are required as markers to number them. It may look very much surprising, but we sit there, we have to double check, because if I don't double check, I'm going to be in trouble. So to maintain order in the marking process, I am required to count those words. So therefore, I expect you to count those words. And in counting your words, don't just assume that we are clowns that we will think when you wrote 90, we will take your word for it. We are not clowns. We are able to see this child is rather high when they vote this 90. Maybe just so make sure you don't lie. As honest, don't write than 90 and don't write more than 90. Now, let's look at how we pick up the 7 points. Unlike happiness, contentment lasts indefinitely. Contentment is a feeling accompanied by satisfaction and gratitude. Now, this is what you must do. This is point 1. That's point number 2. Remember, we need 7 points, which are not over 90 words. Contentment is a feeling accompanied by satisfaction and gratitude. I would rather want to say satisfaction. And I substitute the word contentment. Is a feeling accompanied by satisfaction. Oh, no. I can't have satisfaction again. I need to think of another word. But let's change that. Because that will be a repetition. Right. Contentment, okay. This thing is acting up again. Contentment is a feeling accompanied by satisfaction and gratitude. Contentment lasts indefinitely. So, again, make sure you change one word and you put a synonym to it. Satisfaction and gratitude. You may want to change the word gratitude to a synonymous word. Contentment, I would want to say it lasts forever. A Google search on how to be happy yields more than 7 billion results. However, how to be content produces only 18 million. Please note, once you see examples such as these, that's not part of the summary. Ignore that. This indicates society's lust for a happiness high, a euphoria gained from excitement, and demonstrates a lack of interest in the calmer, longer lasting contentment. That's our number 3. Now you're doing this on the text itself so that you don't have that table where you write quotation and own words. Yes, your teachers have exposed you to that in the classroom setup. Now you are in exam conditions. You may not have time to finish if you do that. And when we mark, we are going to mark the fluent paragraph, not the table. So you do this on the text itself. One possible theory explaining this is the concept of delayed gratification. We like to receive immediate results for our undertaking. Once you see, for example, and what follows after, that is not to be looked at as part of what you're summarizing. So we want to pay checks to arrive in our bank accounts immediately. However, individuals who are willing to wait for rewards are more content than those who expect. So we are looking at the 4th point. Individuals who are willing to wait for rewards are more content than those who expect immediate gratification. Right. That's point 4. Another theory is that individuals are aiming too high by always striving for happiness. That's not a point. Is it possible to remain in a euphoric state of happiness all the time? That's a rhetorical question. Anything that is a question is not going to be part of what I'm summarizing. Do changes not help us appreciate happier moments? This theory suggests, now, it's the only time I pick up my point here. It suggests that when people set lower, reasonable expectations, they will achieve contentment. That's point 5. Remember, we are doing this on the text. It's your question paper. Bring highlighters. Do not fear. It's your paper. It belongs to you. Yet another theory defines contentment as the absence of greed and materialism. Some individuals see life as a competition and aspire for the longest or largest income, fanciest cars, and most luxurious holidays. These people experience happiness by winning, while losing can feel catastrophic. Ultimately, people who are satisfied with what they have, they find a baseline. I love that use of the word baseline. Where are we? People who are satisfied. Right. With what they have, find a baseline contentment of gratitude, a sentiment lacking in competitive world. So this is point 6. These theories point to the same path. We need to reflect on what makes us truly happy and recognize long periods of contentment. Although it is natural for everyone to want to be happy all the time, perhaps there is safety in a world of warm, peaceful. So there is safety in a world of warm, peaceful contentment. That's point 7. Right. While it is unusual to recommend aiming low, and even though there is joy in the excitement of happiness, the long-lasting and meaningful feeling of contentment comes from purpose and resilience. All right, we have the 9th point that I've missed here. Where are we? We need to reflect on what makes us truly happy and recognize long moments of contentment. So we can look at this as the 9th point. So ladies and gents, you have 9. Now, why am I giving you all 9? It is to ensure that you don't repeat any point. Simple. In the calm, long-lasting feeling of contentment, you change one word or you change here. You add a punctuation, it's up to you, as long as you don't lose them. Individuals who are willing to wait, so we would say people, comma, who are willing to wait, comma, or willing to wait for rewards, comma, are more content than those who expect immediate gratification. Now, I've changed the word individuals and used people, and I enclosed additional information, which is who are willing to wait for rewards, and then I continued with my main clause. So these are some of the examples that we spoke about in the voice note last night that is going to help you focus your attention to important information. Right. I am realizing most examiners love now picking up advertisements that have a hashtag. Before you sleep, just check, why do we use a hashtag? So that you're not caught napping if you get such an advertisement. There's a reason why, as an examiner, I would want to use a text that has a hashtag. Now, looking at the picture, I mean, there is an amount of illustration that's taking place. And already I can tell these are spotting codes or different spotting codes. Now, some are dark shaded as opposed to the gray shades. Now, look at this, gray shades, dark shades. These are very much important to look at and consider as you analyze your advert. Now look at inspiring. This is bold font. Not only is it bold, so we are looking at a bold font, but it is also uppercase. So uppercase is capital letters. But look at the subheading, excellence through sport. This one is a bit soft in terms of the font and placing. So inspiring takes a lot of our attention as opposed to excellence through sport. Now, we call this a body copy. Right. Now, don't ignore your body copy because a lot comes from there. Sport continues to be a driving force that inspires our people and positions South Africa positively on the global stage. There are so many emotions to these words. We have highlighted, underlined here. And then be part of a team. That's an imperative or a command. It's up to you which one you want to use. Be part of a team that strives to make South Africa an inspiration to the world. Connect with us. This connect is another imperative with us at brandsouthafrica.com. South Africa inspiring new ways. Right. Now, your body copy has been written again, so we still call this your body copy. So if an instruction states that you need to refer to the body copy, we needed to look at this box or what is written on the text itself. Now, let's look at the types of questions. What is the purpose? Now, we are looking at the purpose of what? Hashtag play your part. Here's the D. What is the hashtag used for? And look at it side by side with play your part. So an understanding of why we use a hashtag that is coupled with play your part is going to be sufficient for you to answer this question. 3.2, refer to the written text, inspiring excellence through, let's go back to the written text, inspiring excellence through sport. And now it tells us that we read all the way to world. Sport continues to be a driving force that inspires our people and positions South Africa actively, positively on the global stage. Be part of a team that strives to make South Africa an inspiration to the world. Connect with us at brandsouthafrica.com. com. Right. With reference to one technique and one example. Comment on how the advertiser promotes this advertisement. Let's look at a number of techniques that we picked up here. Uppercase, a soft casing, emotional or emotive words such as continues, inspires, positively, global stage, imperatives or commands, be a part of, and connect. So those are some of the examples of techniques, but also the illustration itself or the image or picture that's on the advertisement is a technique. You look at the fact that it takes center stage and it depicts different spotting codes as one of the techniques. So the instruction is you give a technique and an example and you comment on how the advertiser promotes the campaign. Remember, advertisements are not only to promote products, but they also to promote a cause or a campaign. 3.3, we are looking at the language structures and conventions type of a question. Choose the most appropriate response from the list of options provided. Sports continues to be a driving force that inspires our people and positions South Africa positively on the global stage. The above is an example of a simple sentence, an adverbial clause, a complex sentence, and a compound sentence. Now you start with the process of elimination when you have a multiple choice question. You rule out the answer that is incorrect. So in this case, adverbial clause is not going to make it for me. So I have simple sentence, complex sentence, compound sentence. So these three are known as sentence levels. You need to know a simple sentence must have one subject and one finite verb. Compound sentence, it must have a main clause that is joined by a coordinating conjunction. And remember, our coordinating conjunctions, your fanboys, one of these are a part of what forms a compound sentence. Complex sentence has a number of clauses. Some are dependent while others are independent, and they are joined by a particular type of, not a coordinating, but a subordinating conjunction. Now, before you sleep, go back and remind yourself, how do we see each type of a level of sentence? And then rewrite the following clause as a statement that includes a subject. Now we're looking at 1 mark each. So you need be is already a verb. Part of a team is already an object. We are missing a subject. So you need to think of a suitable subject that will make this a statement. Remember, we've got a statement, we've got a question, we've got an exclamation, and we have a exclamation, imperative, interrogative, and a statement. So the 4 types of sentences. I might be repeating something there. Right. Look at this example. We have an image here. We rise as a use of pronoun. Together. So rise together is emotive. For our nation's pride. Hashtag always rising. Now, in your opinion, which visual image is more effective to promote the campaign? So it's a comparative. You're going to look at two images. You would argue that the first image is not that much effective because it is not clear as to the kind of characters or gender represented by these particular images. Yes, I can see a lady here and a lady there, but I am not sure if the gray one is a male or female. I can see a silhouette, but it is not clear. So these are things that you're going to look at or that you need to consider if you get an advertisement of this nature where you have to compare. In this one, it is quite clear who the characters are. They are all women. They are sportswomen. And they are wearing a sporting gear. And how is it effective in promoting the campaign? And when you look at the campaign, it uses a lot of personal pronouns, your we's, your us. So there's unity in sports. So how do we get this across, and which one of the images is capturing that most effectively? Now, cartoons. Frame 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Please note, each frame has dialogue, it has characters, and it also has body language, facial expressions. Do take note of that. And now, in today's broadcast by Vash, she brought this thing, and I never thought about this until I heard about this today. I forgot what she called this, but that's immaterial now. These gaps here allow us to fill in what is missing. So we need to read between the lines to say from this frame to that frame, this is what is going on. And this is what is going on based on the linguistic. Linguistic, we are looking at the words that are written. Gosh, Elizabeth, altogether you got 27 Valentines. Is that all? Now look at the change here. There's we may call this a male gaze. The woman gazing upon a male as if she is a damsel in distress. There is a wide open mouth here, and that indicates a smile here. But in the next frame, the lady has a downturned mouth, Elizabeth. But now the gentleman has a blank expression. We can't tell how he feels. Frame 3, Mom, why do they only show love with a heart? Why not with something else? Now look at what is happening here. Look at the mother's expression. Look at the gaze. One is looking upon the other while the other is looking down to the next one. So that's another issue of power relation. Someone is more powerful. In this case, it's the parent and the child. You mean like a liver and spleen? Well, maybe it's because when you love someone, you feel it, and look at the use of the ellipses. But also, she says right here, and she gives us the hand gesture to show us where this here is referring to. And when that someone is far away, that feeling becomes sort of a deep ache. Now look at her facial expression, her finger that is pointing towards the mouth, and also there is a quite of a sad look on this young lady's face, on Elizabeth's face rather. Well, what were you and Mom discussing so seriously? But now Elizabeth seemed to show or give the father her back. There's a quite of a smile on the father's head. We can tell that he is in a very much comfortable place. We could say it's a lounge because this looks like a couch, and he's got a newspaper. So typically, fathers would sit on a couch, read a newspaper in the afternoon hours. That's where they are showing that they are relaxed, they are more calm. So she was telling me about love, but look at her expression. But the father's expression seems a quite or a bit interested and very much curious to hear what Elizabeth has to say at this point. What does your mom say about love? So there's a sense of curiosity. And look at the hand gesture. The father is reaching out. But again, Elizabeth gives her father the bag. It seems as if she is leaving the frame. She says it's a pain. Now this gives us the humor because the ending is quite opposite to what, I mean, that's not what the mother said. She spoke nothing about the pain, but she did look at the feeling of love. But the sad part is when someone is away, it becomes a deep ache. Right. Let's hurry up. We are almost by our end time. 4.1, what does Elizabeth's response is that all reveal about her feelings? How does she feel? You were referred to frame number 2. Now we are going to consider the fact that she is asking a question, but also consider her facial expression. Don't just say her facial expression indicates she's unhappy. Tell us, what is the state of her mouth, the state of her eyes, the body posture? It tells us she has a slouched type of a posture or lean a bit forward, but she doesn't look happy. So do tell us what you see. That's the question. What do you see? And how does it answer the question? Right. Suggest why Elizabeth's friend does not respond to her question. There's no response. She says, is there hope? There's a reason why he could be quiet. It might be that he is without words to say, or he is thinking. Geez, I mean, look at how many you have already, and you still are unsatisfied. We're still looking at that instant gratification theme that is coming through. 4.2, discuss how the visual, now look at this, how we discuss how the visual cue in frame 5 and 6 convey the mother's attitude towards love. Now, in frames 5 and 6, you look at the visual, look at the mother's facial expressions, the crossed hands on her chest, the downturned lips here, a more blank expression, the finger pointing to him. What do these visual? You leave out the words, but you look at visual. What is she doing? And what does it reveal about her feelings, her attitude, her feelings towards love? Right. Refer to frames 9 to 10, critically discuss how the interaction between the father and the daughter creates humor. I love this humor question. It is not whether or not you found this funny. Humor is a technique. So you first look at what technique. Is it irony? Is it pathos? Is it ambiguity? Is it sarcasm? Is it what's this? Yeah, pathos would be the same as anticlimax. So these are types of the humor that we can look at, humor devices that we could link to in the answer of the humor question. Now replace got with a more suitable verb in context. So you're gonna look at the word got and you find a suitable verb and it must be in context. Now provide comparative form. Remember, in your degrees of comparison, you have your good, better, best. Comparative would be better, and superlative would be best. So always look at what level of comparison is the examiner asking you to give. Now, the last question, the 13 minutes question, like literally 13 minutes, 13, nothing more. And this is how we're going to get to our 13 minutes. Literally, refer to line 1. A relatively small investment in travel now yields major returns for the rest of your life. Now, provide a synonym, the word with the same meaning to the words returns in context. That's all. 5.2. Rewrite the expression figure out in line 2. I don't even need to go to line 2. Let's figure out then. How do I write figure out in standard English? Now please note, another examiner may want to use formal instead of using standard. So if they said formal English, they mean standard English. If they said standard English, they mean formal English. The pronoun error in paragraph 1, you need to know what your pronouns are. So we are looking at a relatively small investment in travel now yields major returns for the rest of your life. If you're planning a trip, one of the first things to figure out is how much money you can spend. Every penny you spend on travel is an investment in yourself and an investment in the world around one. Now, I remember during the file teaching this, one of my learners responded and said, there is no pronoun here. I mean, when I've just read it now, literally, you may feel like there is no error, but there is an error. There is a pronoun error that you need to know. Now, 5.4, traveling expands your social connections to different people. Rewrite the above sentence fragment in the passive. Remember, your active sentence begin with the subject, followed by a verb, and the object. Now, if you're going to get a question that requires a change to passive, always do this. Traveling is our subject. Expands is our verb. Your social connections is our object. To different people is additional information. So, looking at this, social connections now is going to take, now I'm going to change this. I'm going to begin with your object plus your verb plus your subject. So you start by identifying the subject, the verb, and the object, and you write this formula. You take the object, you write it here. You keep your verb looking at whether or not you need a change of tense, and then your subject preceded by is then written at this point. Now remove the redundancy in paragraph 2. Again, redundancy is now us using words overly. It's one word that is repeated and it renders the sentence redundant. So in this case, the examiner looks at the entire paragraph. So you need to read the entire paragraph and find the word or words that render the paragraph redundant. And simply, there are two ways of answering this question. You might want to write remove, and you write the word that is redundant. Because in this case, it's the entire paragraph. You can't rewrite the entire paragraph removing the word that is redundant. You're going to waste time. If it is a sentence, I would advise that you rewrite and then you remove the word that is redundant. Give the function of a hyphen in line 8. I mean, guys, by now, let's look at line 8. Creating a work life. Now, in this case, it is to form a compound word. We are not going to accept at this level of home language to join two words to form one. You're not going to get a mark for that. A hyphen is used to form a compound word. Now, while you grow, you are also improving the world around you, especially if you follow ethical travel practices. Explain why the word practices is incorrectly in the sentence. Again, this is a spelling error issue. So you need to look at whether or not the word is spelled correctly. And in this context, why is it correctly or incorrectly used? Replace practices with the correct word. Now that's a vocabulary question. What word would you use to replace the word practices? Refer to lines 12 to 13. You're helping to create jobs. 1 in 10 jobs on the planet are in the travel and tourism industry. Correct the error of concord. Now we are looking at subject-verb agreement. Let's go there. It's 12 to 13. So 10, 11. While you grow with travel, you are also improving the world around you, especially if you follow ethical travel practices. You are creating or you're helping to create jobs. Right. Okay, 1 in 10 jobs on the planet is our problem, our error. 1 in 10 jobs is in the travel and tourism industry. Replace the dash with a suitable conjunction without changing the meaning of sentence. This is a punctuative question. You need to know your punctuation marks and the purpose for which they are used. Where are we looking at? Without changing. So there, you are helping to create jobs. Then you are supposed to use a conjunction. Because 1 in 10 jobs on the planet is in the travel and tourism industry. I've used because here. I might not be 100% correct, but I need to ensure that I replace this with a suitable conjunction. Right. Ladies and gents, that brings us to the end of our our time. We understand you have questions, but unfortunately, because we started late, because of technical glitches, we wouldn't want to elongate our session. Ma'am Ayanda, is there anything you wish to say to our learners as they get ready for tomorrow?
So I'd like to thank you first for all of this, for doing this for our learners, and to our learners. It's just unfortunate that we cannot cover everything that you should have, covered now. So please bear with us and try and do your best. We wish you all the best tomorrow. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Boys and girls, please make sure to complete our attendance register. My advice is get to school on time to avoid unnecessary panic. We understand you want to do some brush ups, but don't burn the midnight oil today because you're going to need as much rest as you can. You have been practicing over a number of weeks and days. What we have done today was to expose you to a kind and type of questions and how to approach them. With this much of preparation, I would like to believe that you are thoroughly prepared and ready. If you want to go an extra mile tonight and go through this paper, try and answer it, it's okay. But don't sleep late. Make sure you get one of your friends to call you in the morning to ensure that you wake up on time, so that you are on time, because we do not want you to be late tomorrow, because once you get there late, you're going to panic, you're going to have anxiety, and it's not going to be a fabulous experience. So ladies and gents, thank you so much for allowing us into your space. And ma'am, thank you so much for making this platform easy, in that we were able to have, let me see how many we have in attendance. We have a number of you that are here.
The most we had there was 365.
Fill in the register. To all the colleagues who have been able to join us, thank you so much for coming in. It means a lot to your learners to see you come through and attend with them. All the best, guys, for tomorrow. Please fill in the survey forms that your educators are going to send to you. Our examiners would like to hear from you, as to what went well, what didn't went well in the paper. Again, feel free to begin with any question that you are able to begin with. Don't rush through anything, but do be mindful of the time allocation. You are writing for 2 hours only and nothing more. This is me signing out with Women Hadele. We appreciate you guys. We love you and we wish you all the best for tomorrow. Good night.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
ma'am.
Thank you.